Hi, I'm Allison Russell. I'm a consultant for yoga teachers and the yoga teacher trainer. And my goal is to help you create a memorable class experience so you can build the yoga business of your dreams. Now, today we're going to talk about your yoga teacher toolbox. And this is just the first lesson in a several part series. But today's lesson is ultimately the most important because it's your first impression as a yoga teacher. Today, we're going to learn how you set the scene as a yoga teacher. Now, let's first just talk about energy because everything is energy. It's important that we set the scene for a really memorable class experience so our teachers want to come back. And it all starts at the very beginning, and it all starts with our energy. Now, you may be thinking, I don't know, Allison, like, what do you mean energy? You probably know that everything is energy. And your job as a yoga teacher is to manage the energy in the classroom. Now, we have lots of different ways that we can do this. We can do this through our voice. We do this through the lighting in the room. We do this through our sequence. But there's several more tools in your yoga teacher toolbox. So today we're going to just start talking about a few of them and really specifically how they help us set the scene for our yoga class. Now, again, let's just talk about the energy of the room. Everything is energy in your yoga classroom. I mean, everything is energy in there. So the way that you turn the lights on is an energy. Really, really bright lights are going to be much more stimulating. Really dim lights are going to be much more calming. We know that in a yoga classroom, whenever we have like a really restorative class, we dim the lights a lot, or we even put out candles because that lighting is an energy. The color of the walls in the room is an energy. The way that you interact with everyone in your class is an energy. The color of your clothing is even an energy. And all of these things have an effect on how your class goes and the way that you teach and how people feel in your class. We want people to come back. So we want them to feel energized yet relaxed. We want them to feel happy, and we want them to feel successful. And it all starts just at the beginning. Now, the very beginning of your yoga class sets the scene for the entire class. And I'm not even talking about like you haven't even started teaching yet. You're still like greeting people at the door. All right. So this has not even started teaching. We're just talking about setting the scene. We're talking about turning the lights on and how you're greeting people. We're going to talk about timeliness and also the cleanliness of the studio. So first, let's talk about your presence as a yoga teacher. Have you ever thought that your presence actually affects everyone walking into that room? The way you greet people sets the scene for the yoga class. If you walk into your class, or let's say that you're sitting at the front desk and you walk in and you're like, hey, happy you're here. What do you think people are going to do in that class? They're probably not having a great experience right away. Now, if you walk in and you say, hi, I'm Allison. It's so great to meet you. Thank you so much for being here. Well, now they may feel a little bit better about themselves. Like, yeah, she's happy I'm here. I'm happy I'm here. Yes, this is going to be a great class. Your presence has a huge impact on the class. Now, I hate to bring this up, but this goes for your presence before you even start class. So how many of you are guilty of maybe talking to other teachers at the studio rather than greeting your students? We've all probably been there. I have walked into studios. Luckily, I've never taught at a studio like this, but I have walked into a studio where I heard two teachers talking trash about another teacher there. What kind of energy do you think that's putting off to the students? Really, really negative energy. I've even been to a studio where I've heard two teachers talking about a student. How do you think that makes me feel as a student? Horrible. And I left. That kind of negative energy has no place in the yoga room. It has no place at your studio. So greet your students whenever they walk in. Your presence says a lot about the class that's about to happen. If I hear negativity, I automatically, that scene is set that it's going to be negative. Now, this can go the opposite way as well, and I'm sometimes guilty of this. I like to teach a lot of early morning classes, and so I'm kind of an early morning person. And so sometimes some people will come in and I'm like, oh my gosh, hi, I'm so excited that you're here. It's like 5:30 a.m., but it's a great day, right? And people are like, whoa, calm it down, girl. A little too much there. I'm like, oh, okay. So you can also be a little too happy or a little too excited. Now, everyone is going to have a different way of greeting and a different presence, but I want you to be aware of your presence. What do you normally say when people walk into the room? Are you normally there? Or are you rushing in like right on time and you don't even have time to greet everyone? What kind of scene are you setting with your presence? Now, the second tool in our yoga teacher toolbox is the timeliness of the class. Yes, this has a big impact on your class. If you are consistently starting your classes late, that negatively impacts the energy of the room. Now, you may be thinking, yeah, but we need to have a little bit of flowing time. No, I'm sorry, but no. As a yoga teacher, it is your job to keep the students on time. They have made a commitment to be there for a certain period of time, and it's your job to respect that. We all have very busy lives, and I'm not saying that you should ever cut your classes short. And I have about, well, not a beginning of the class, but towards the end of the class, I may have like a 5-minute kind of 3 to 5 minutes that I sometimes go over. But at the beginning of class, start class on time. I've been part of a class where we've started 5 to 10 minutes late consistently. I stopped going. And ultimately, everyone started showing up later and later and later. Start your classes on time. People are paying you money to have a certain amount of time in class. They are paying you money to start and end on time. So the timeliness of your class really sets the standard for your class. If you find that people are consistently coming in late, maybe it's time to start locking the door or start your class on time, and people will typically say, uh-oh, I got to get there on time now. So timeliness is a huge, huge factor. If we consistently start late, I will let you know that I'm now worried that we're going to end late. And now throughout that whole entire class, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well, I have this scheduled at 7:30. If I get out of here 15 minutes late, am I going to make it on time? Ooh, I don't know. Now my mind is not in that yoga class. I'm thinking about a lot of other things. So starting and ending your class on time is really important. The third thing I really want to talk about is the cleanliness of the room. And this has a huge impact on your class. We all are familiar with the limb Saucha. It's one of our niyamas. And Saucha means cleanliness. So it's important that in our classrooms, we are having a physical cleanliness of the room. This doesn't mean that things have to be like the cleanest they've ever been. You know, I don't need you scrubbing the floors or anything right before class starts, but equipment needs to be put away. Equipment needs to be nice and organized. We need to make sure that it doesn't smell bad. We need to make sure that if you teach at a hot studio, there's not like puddles of sweat on the ground. We need to make sure that we're not just throwing our clothes everywhere or that we're just throwing mats around. We have to keep the studio clean. When I walk into a clean environment, it makes my mind clear. When I walk into a dirty or messy environment, it makes my energy really, really scattered. So we have to have cleanliness in the studio. And keep in mind, I know a lot of teachers are like, well, it's the person in front of me who is making the studio messy. I don't care who it is. It's your classroom. It's your class. It's your experience. And as the teacher of that class, you have to manage the energy in that class. So if Sally Sue ended up not folding the blankets the correct way, it's your job to fix them. Manage the energy of your classroom. Provide a good class experience. Setting the scene for your yoga class will help everyone enter into that yoga class with a clear mind and with a positive attitude. Whenever we start something with a positive attitude, we're more likely to stay in that state of mind. It's like a first impression that you get to make every single day. If we enter into a classroom that is a little disorganized or chaotic, or the teacher has greeted us grumpily, that's going to affect my energy as the student. So make sure that you're setting the scene with these 3 tools in your yoga teacher toolbox: your presence, the cleanliness of the studio, and the timeliness of the class. Just these 3 things will already start to make a memorable classroom experience. So what are some of your tools in your yoga teacher toolbox? I'd love to hear about them. Please feel free to add a comment down below or take a picture and show me how you like to set the scene and tag me on Instagram or Facebook, #AllisonRussell Training. Have a wonderful rest of your day and we'll see you soon.